So finally then we're going to go into the superclass and subclass, the data for those and how they're displayed. So firstly, we instance our computer peripherals superclass. It has its constructors. It has its own product image display method. This method is used throughout the rest of the subclasses, so it can just be inherited from that, as well as the other constructors. So in our monitor subclass, we inherit what was in the superclass, and we give it some extra parameters. And then we use our display function to write a HTML table. And then at the very end, we call the product image display method. The monitor superclass also has one more function that we're using, and it's basically to check your own screen resolution versus the screen resolution listed in the monitors. We can have a look at that in action. The rest of the subclasses are much the same, bar the extra parameters that are put in. Each subclass is also using a getter instead of just calling the primary function. Instead of instancing all of my objects in where I had all the classes, I've decided to split that out into a separate file just to make it a little bit easier to work on. And it's a little bit more readable as well. So all of the data in this data.js file, it's kind of being treated like a database or a JSON file, but it is just a regular JavaScript file. So in this then we have 5 instances of each class, and we're using a mixture of strings and integers. One of the pieces of information that we're using is actually writing the file path to an image, so we can display a different image when each of the objects are displayed. So that brings us to the final file of the project then, which is the script.js file, which is a collection of switch cases, and they target a monitor dropdown. So each of those pages have a dropdown, and each option will action a different function. So in the case of the monitor selection, then we have both a display data and we have a resolution checker. So that's the check that it makes to compare your own resolution against one of the monitors that we have listed. And then finally, at the very end, we have a clear selection function. So this will be actioned when we select option 0 on any of the dropdowns. So basically, it'll just get rid of any of the information that is there or replace it with a placeholder. In the case of the product image placeholder, it is grabbing another image and popping that in. So then we can take a look at that in action if I switch over to the browser. And we'll have a look at the monitors one here. So if we select option 1, we see that the manufacturer and the model of the monitor is populated. The image is loaded in and all of the accompanying data. And then at the very bottom, we have the resolution check. It's grabbing my resolution and it's comparing it against the monitor that we have up here. As we can see, they're the same. If I select a monitor that has a larger resolution, we can see that my resolution is now less. And I'll just quickly go through the rest of them here.